Hi, my name is Mark Thompson, and today we are going to be reading Exodus chapter 19 through 21. Let's get into it. So in chapter 19, in the third month after the children of Israel had gone out of the land of Egypt, on the same day they came to the wilderness of Sinai. For they had departed from Rephidim, had come to the wilderness of Sinai, and camped in the wilderness. So Israel camped there before the mountain. And Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain, saying, Thus you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be a special treasure to me above all people. For all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel. So Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before them all these words which the Lord commanded him. Then all the people answered together and said, All that the Lord has spoken, we will do. So Moses brought back the words of the people to the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, Behold, I come to you in the thick cloud. The people may hear when I speak with you and believe you forever. So Moses told the words of the people to the Lord. Then the Lord said to Moses, Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and let them be ready for the third day. For on the third day the Lord will come down upon Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. You shall set bounds for the people all around, saying, Take heed to yourselves that you do not go up to the mountain or touch its base. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. Not a hand shall touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot with an arrow. Whether man or beast, he shall not live. When the trumpet sounds long, they shall come near the mountain. So Moses went down from the mountain to the people and sanctified the people. And they washed their clothes, and he said to the people, Be ready for the third day. Do not come near your wives. Then it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunderings and lightnings, and a thick cloud on the mountain. And the sound of the trumpet was very loud, so that all the people who were in the camp trembled. And Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Now Mount Sinai was completely in smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire. Its smoke ascended like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked greatly. And when the blast of the trumpet sounded long and became louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God answered him by voice. Then the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mountain. And the Lord called Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. And the Lord said to Moses, Go down and warn the people, lest they break through to gaze at the Lord, and many of them perish. Also let the priests who come near the Lord consecrate themselves, lest the Lord break out against them. But Moses said to the Lord, The people cannot come up to Mount Sinai, for you warned us, saying, Set bounds around the mountain and consecrate it. Then the Lord said to him, Away, get down, and then come up. And you and Aaron with you. But do not let the priests and the people break through to come up to the Lord, lest he break out against them. So Moses went down to the people and spoke to them. Chapter 20. And God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make yourselves a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water underneath the earth. You shall not bow down to them nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's. Now all the people witnessed the thunderings, the lightning flashes, the sound of the trumpet, and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they trembled and stood afar off. Then they said to Moses, You speak with us, and we will hear. But let not God speak with us, lest we die. And Moses said to the people, Do not fear, for God has come to test you, and that his fear may be before you, so that you may not sin. So the people stood afar off, but Moses drew near, the thick darkness where God was. Then the Lord said to Moses, Thus you shall say to the children of Israel, You have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. You shall not make anything to be with me, gods of silver or gods of gold. You shall not make for yourselves an altar of earth you shall make for me, and you shall sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and your peace offerings, your sheep and your oxen. In every place where I record my name, I will come to you and I will bless you. And if you make me an altar of stone, you shall not build it of hewn stone, for if you use your tool on it, you have profaned it. Nor shall you go up by steps to my altar, that your nakedness may not be exposed on it. Chapter 21. Now these are the judgments which you shall set before them. If you buy a Hebrew servant, he shall serve 6 years, and in the 7th he shall go out free and pay nothing. If he comes in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master has given him a wife, and she has borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. But if the servant plainly says, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him to the judges. He shall also bring him to the door or to the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. And if a man sells his daughter to be a female slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. If she does not please her master, who has betrothed her to himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He shall have no right to sell her to a foreign people, since he has dealt deceitfully with her. And if he has betrothed her to his son, he shall deal with her according to the custom of daughters. If he takes another wife, he shall not diminish her food, her clothing, and her marriage rights. And if he does not do these three for her, then she shall go out free without paying money. He who strikes a man so that he dies shall surely be put to death. However, if he did not lie in wait, but God delivered him into his hands, then I will appoint for you a place where he may flee. But if a man acts with premeditation against his neighbor to kill him, by treachery you shall take him from my altar, that he may die. And he who strikes his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. He who kidnaps a man and sells him, or if he is found in his hand, shall surely be put to death. And he who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. If men contend with each other, and one strikes the other with a stone or with his fist, and he does not die, but is confined to his bed, if he rises again and walks about outside with his staff, then he who struck him shall be acquitted. He shall only pay for the loss of time, and shall provide for him to be thoroughly healed. And if a man beats his male or female servant with a rod, so that he dies under his hand, he shall surely be punished. Notwithstanding, if he remains alive a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his property. If men fight and hurt a woman with child, so that she gives birth prematurely, yet no harm follows, he shall surely be punished accordingly, as the woman's husband imposes on him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. But if any harm follows, then he shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. If a man strikes the eye of his male or female servant and destroys it, he shall let him go free for the sake of his eye. And if he knocks out the tooth of his male or female servant, he shall let him go free for the sake of his tooth. If an ox gores a man or a woman to death, then the ox shall surely be stoned, and its flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be acquitted. But if the ox tended to thrust with its horn in times past, and it has been made known to his owner, and he has not kept it confined, so that it has killed a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and its owner also shall be put to death. If there is imposed on him a sum of money, then he shall pay to redeem his life, whatever is imposed on him, whether it has gored a son or gored a daughter, according to this judgment, it shall be done to him. If the ox gores a male or female servant, he shall give to their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. And if a man opens a pit, or if a man digs a pit and does not cover it, and an ox or a donkey falls in it, the owner of the pit shall make it good. He shall give money to their owner, but the dead animal shall be his. If one man's ox hurts another's so that it dies, then they shall sell the live ox and divide the money from it, and the dead ox they shall also divide. Or if it was known that the ox tended to thrust in times past, and its owner has not kept it confined, he shall surely pay ox for ox, and the dead animal shall be his own.
me.
Hello, and welcome to Fear into Faith Global Bible Revival, where we're on a mission to get 1 million people to read the Word of God cover to cover. My name is Summer Day, and I have with me today the very fabulous Mark Thompson. Hello, sir.
Hello.
So grateful to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, yeah, you're pretty awesome. I was excited to have you in the studio reading the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay, what was that like? You just reading the Word.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was like it was pretty strenuous because it was a lot of reading, but it was really good. It was really well.
Nice. What made you say yes to this project?
Well, I know the importance of reading the Bible because of my life and what reading Scripture has actually done. And reading the Bible, you actually get to know who God is. And it's like you see who He is through the Scriptures and through the life of Christ. And it's there that you're able to get a clear picture of Him and how He operates. And yeah, it's definitely crucial in especially every believer's life, but I believe in every life on the planet to actually get into the Word and see who God is and who He created man to be.
I think you just challenged us. Like, our goal is to get 1 million people to read the Bible, and that's just way too small. We got like, what, 7, almost 8 billion? Our goal is to get 8 billion people to read the Word of God. There you go. We'll expand our vision. I love it. Well, tell everybody a little bit about you, like where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm actually from Canada, and so
we might hear a little bit of the Canadian accent.
You might, yeah. Generally, and my accent will be a little bit different than most Canadians because I'm from the far East Coast, so there'll be a little bit of a, I guess, pronunciation that would be different.
This is funny. I did not know that there's like an East Coast Canadian accent. I should have, right? Because somebody from like New Jersey talks different than somebody from Southern California.
Yeah, so all different parts of Canada would have different dialect or different ways that they would say things, which is interesting as well.
So cool. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Fabulous. And where are you living now?
So now I'm actually living in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yes, and I know why. Tell us why.
Absolutely. So I'm actually an intern at Lifestyle Christianity University, which is a school that's focused on discipleship and living out the life of Christ and living a Christ-like lifestyle and Christ-centered life.
And they are really producing fiery believers. Yeah, we've had several of the students, and we're just wanting people that are have a fire in them for the Word. And it's been awesome to have so many of you coming out of that school, and super excited to my husband's gonna be going there too, and I'm super excited about that. Well, we're gonna kind of backtrack. I know some of your story. Your story is amazing of kind of what the Lord has done in your life. But before we get into your story, just really quick, no, we'll go back because your story's just let's just go with it. We're just gonna go with it. So I already know that you were not raised in the church.
Yeah.
Now, did you know of God or Jesus or the Bible or any of that when you were young and old?
So I guess for me, like, there was just the typical like Christmas, Easter only type of stuff that we would go to as a family.
Oh, yes, that's right. What do you call it?
Like a CEO Christian.
Christmas Christian, the Christian who is Christmas and Easter only.
Yes, exactly.
Christian. I was that for a while.
Yeah.
CEO Christian, okay.
It's not always fun. But so for me, I would have had some things that they would have taught us as kids, like you go to children's church and they would have taught us some stuff about Jesus, but I don't remember exactly how much of that would have been, like, I guess, I don't know, like, would have been doctrinally correct or theologically correct, but I do know, obviously, we would have talked about Jesus and talked about God and talked about His sacrifice and that sort of stuff.
But none of it was really a part of your life. Just Christmas,
definitely,
thing.
Yeah.
You didn't have like a strong belief.
No.
Did you remember praying as a kid or anything at all?
I mean, there would have been times I'm like, God, like, I do remember a time as a kid where I remember, like, we had a cat and the cat was sick, and I remember praying, God, like, fix the cat or something along those lines. And I remember there was an NHL hockey player, and I remember he was diagnosed with cancer, and I remember praying, and I remember, like, he got through it. And so I was like, maybe there is something to this type of deal. But that quickly faded when we moved, because I moved from where we were living to another province in Canada. So
Then how old were you?
I was 11 years old.
Okay. Then
Yeah. And so from there, at 11 years old, that's when things started to take a different path, because I was around different people, around more individuals that would have been connected to various things, like connected to drugs or just things that I was now not used to.
So kind of what you hear, you got in with like the wrong crowd,
Yes.
kind of a thing.
Yep.
Oh, so you moved and then ended up making new friends, but probably not the right friends.
Yeah. And so even in that, around the age of 11, like I started getting bullied in school. So the first week of school was like, oh, this is the new guy. Everybody likes the new guy.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was like, nobody likes the new guy now. And I saw this trend where the new person would come in and then everybody liked the new person for that week or whatever. And then it's like it just shifted. Everybody bullied that person or called them names and stuff like that. And because for me, like I always retaliated. So when there was any, like I grew up with an older brother. So, like in the house, you'd be roughhousing, playing around, fighting with each other type of deal. So for me, it's like, okay, like I grew up as the younger brother and I always retaliated to my older brother.
Yeah.
So when they bullied me, I retaliated. I fought back.
Yeah.
And so there was this, like, it was instilled in me to like fight type of deal and stand up for myself. And so that led from one thing to another, which went from there to, I remember walking home one day after getting off the bus and found this little deck of like what was like playing cards, but on these cards were all Playboy bunny models. And I found it on the side of the road.
Side of the road.
Yeah. And so that was my introduction to pornography.
Oh my goodness.
And so at age 11, that's how I got hooked to pornography. I was fully addicted at age 11. Yeah, there was a deck of cards, like a stack of cards. Then it was like cards of like nude Playboy bunny models.
What happened after the cards? Did you get videos or like?
Yeah, so I had these cards, and then so at this point, there were like the technology for like cell phones still was like you would pay way more for something different. So I just had a flip phone. Internet wasn't really like a thing, an established thing on that. So for me, it was actually in school. I heard the guys all talking about like pornography and talking about different sexual things, and it created this mindset of like, like it almost like piqued curiosity of like, what is this? Like I found these cards, and it was just like, looking back, I see how it was a snare of the enemy because of like what I know now. It was a snare of the enemy to have like, to instill that in me at a young age.
Yeah.
And
totally changed your path one day. It's like you're walking down this road and then with a pack of cards.
Absolutely. And one guy that was like in my class started talking about stuff that his brother had shown him on the computer, which was pornography. And so I was in grade 6.
That'd be really
Yeah.
I want to just thank you for your vulnerability. It's not a topic that a lot of people will share, and we do know that statistically pornography addiction is huge in the church. So I thank you for sharing that. We're going to pause, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Yeah, that's really good.
Losing a family in the line of duty is a heart-wrenching, painful experience that no one could ever be prepared for. The emotional loss can be traumatic, and the financial setbacks can be life-altering. Blue Family Fund is a nonprofit organization that exists to assist the families of fallen officers and first responders. Our focus is to raise funds for higher education, scholarships for dependents of law enforcement officers and first responders. We are here for you.
Life is full of real challenges. Find simple solutions on the Dr. Centrell Show right here on Zonder TV.
All right, well, we are back with Mark, and you were being really vulnerable, and I appreciate that. Talking about pornography and pornography addiction can, be uncomfortable. And I know we talked about the break that, you had a friend who started talking about things his brother heard, and then you said you went to a computer lab?
So it was actually in school, on school site, grade 6.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so
And you were able to pull stuff up on the computer?
yeah, so he looked up something that his brother had told him about.
Oh, no.
And
And there were no blockers back then because who knew to put blockers on, right?
but it was all traced. It was all tracked. So the school actually found out about it because they saw during the login
Yeah.
on the computer what like the history.
Yeah.
And so we ended up getting in trouble. We had, I think it was like a
Suspended?
in-school suspension or something like that.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. So that was the root of stuff. And how long were you addicted to pornography? How many years?
Oh my gosh, it was a long time. I would say probably from there until so it would probably have been coming into my early 20s.
Wow. Well, I know we're going to talk about some stuff and how God set you free, but I know you also mentioned getting involved with drugs and stuff like that. And so I want to know how this happens for an 11-year-old. My daughter's about to be 11 and she's sweet and she's innocent and she's wonderful. And I'm like, how does that happen? How does an 11-year-old end up in drugs?
Yeah. And so for me, it was really the majority of things.
Was it older kids?
No, they were all my age.
Oh,
So
your age.
around, what I've learned is that it always stays in secret because what's in secret grows in secret.
Yeah.
And bringing it into the light is where freedom is found.
Oh, amen.
And so back then, for me at 11 years old, just like some of the people lived literally across the road from the school.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was only just like to walk over to their house.
Yeah.
And so the one guy, he had I think it was I think it was his dad. His dad smoked weed. And even he was on prescription pills for ADD. And it was called Ritalin, which is, I don't know if maybe a lot of people do know what Ritalin is, but what they say and what people in like the drug world say is that it's like synthetic cocaine.
Wow.
They call it cheap man's cocaine.
Wow.
So my introduction was first to Ritalin, and then
You said you snorted it.
yeah,
I never heard
yeah,
such a
sniff
thing.
it. So you crush the pill up, and some of them have a film that would, because it's used to cause slow reaction. So some of them would have this. It would be like codeine, which would be a timed release, and you would have to separate that from.
You'd get rid of that and just,
Yeah.
wow. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
and so that would be that.
How long from that until you did do the cocaine and the hard drugs? Was it a fast transition?
So from there, because I was 11, so I would have got into cocaine in junior high. Would have been my first time doing cocaine. So it probably would have been that would have been 4 or 5 years later, maybe, possibly. So maybe 15, 16, around that time period was when I would have first tried it,
Oh my goodness.
but didn't fully get into it until later on.
Yeah. Well, I want to get a little bit more of your story out. I know that, I interviewed you for your journal story for the 52-week Bible Study Journal, which I hope all of you guys are getting a copy of the Year of Miracles Bible Study Journal. If you haven't gotten it, you got to grab one. It's just awesome. And it has 52 stories of people who have walked in miracle signs and wonders, and his story is in there. We'll get a little bit of it, but you got to get the journal. It has such a great study guide, journal questions, all this stuff. Make sure you check it out. So I know that stuff happened and you ended up in jail.
Yeah.
So let's get to that part, because that's where things get really crazy. You are such the prodigal son. There's moms watching right now, and I want them to know that even at 11, you are going to ministry.
You can check out the rest of this interview right here or by going to BibleRevival.tv. And if this show has blessed you, you can help us bless others by partnering with us for as little as $20 a month and help us to expand the reach of this show. We'd also like to invite you to join our Kingdom Discipleship Program, where you have an opportunity to get on weekly Bible Zoom calls with us and people around the world to deep dive into His Word. And you can check all that out at BibleRevival.tv. I'll see you next time, my friend.